Yo, yo, what's good, everybody? Hello, good afternoon. Happy holidays from all of us here at respectmyregion.com. I'm your host, Joey J. Ping, and today we've got a very special guest. We've got Ariel Mizrahi. She is the CEO of Bud to Bloom, a dispensary in Netcong, New Jersey. Today we're going to be talking about her shop. We're going to talk about their brands. We're going to talk a little bit about what they do to build community, some of the top products. It's going to be a great show. And so thank you for joining us here today, Ariel. How are we doing today?
We're doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Joey.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. For context though, everybody, Ariel and I were introduced by somebody who's got a very similar last name as me. Shout out Guillermo Bravo. And Guillermo introduced us at MJ BizCon. It was a blessing to be introduced to you, Ariel, because my whole life is just to showcase and be a platform for dispensaries and owners as yourself. I'm a big music fan, and one of my favorite quotes, Ariel, is from a rapper named Nipsey Hussle. And to paraphrase, it's that one of the greatest things you can do is to inspire others to do great things. And I love having women business owners on our show because maybe it inspires my little sister, who's also blonde and fair skinned, to be doing something cool with her life beyond just going and working at Boeing or whatever my dad wants her to do. And
100%.
so I appreciate you and your decision to get in the cannabis industry, Ariel. Today we're going to talk about your journey. So first and foremost, welcome to the show. Shout out to our sponsor partner, our presenting partner is Deep Roots. They're an SEO company, everybody. They're a marketing agency, and they help dispensaries grow their revenue. And so big shout out to them for footing the bill to do marketing for these other dispensaries and whatnot. But the show's not about Deep Roots, Ariel. The show's about you. So what were you doing before cannabis? How did we get into cannabis? What was that brief summary of that journey for you there?
That's a great question, Joey. So I got into cannabis, from personal use at the beginning. I like to track it back to like when I was growing up. Cannabis was very present in my life. I can't say I loved it. I would smoke and get extremely, extremely high. I realized later in life that I was just over consuming. As I got to college and I started to experiencing cannabis on my own terms, I started to realize some of like the benefits of cannabis. It really reduced like my barrier when it came to being shy and like social connections and things along those lines. But I would say that like the true inspiration to get into the like industry and start a business in it came down to my experience when I was studying abroad. I would say it started in 2014. I was studying abroad in Barcelona, and I had the pleasure of experiencing cannabis from a completely different, viewpoint. Out there, they have cannabis consumption lounges, and it's just, you go to Amsterdam, for example, and like they've got the cafes. And I got really, really inspired by the social connection that cannabis brings. I remember sitting at a coffee shop at the Bulldog in Amsterdam, and my friends had left early that day, and I'm just there by myself in the city, and I'm like talking to some random strangers over a brownie sundae and some like mint tea. And I just can't forget that moment because it made me realize like how cannabis already creates like a commonality between people. And then you bring in like, doesn't matter where you're from, what you do, like, pass the joint like to a fellow neighbor. And it's crazy, the connections that you can make, from just that side. Fast forward a little bit, I graduated college and I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So, like I really started to like understand, at one point I was being treated by like many different doctors, getting prescribed 12 plus medications. And the combination of those was just astronomical, like the side effects of that. And
because it's like they give you medicine to attack the outside and the inside, right? Like they give you all these different things, like pills for the inside, topicals if it's something for your like. There's so many
100%.
different pharmacy things that exist for us now.
And no doctors talk to each other. So it's like, you don't know what the impact of like what one doctor's treating you for this. Like when it comes to autoimmunity, it's about treating this like, you got to treat the symptoms that come with the condition, and sometimes like, things will randomly populate and you go see a doctor about that. And they're just like, oh, well, here's some cream, here's a pill, and it's like, okay, well, that's treating the symptom, but it's not really treating the root. Right? Like it's just covering it up. And then all of a sudden, all those medications come together and you're like, holy crap. Like But yeah, so I started
what am I eating? What am
investigating
I drinking?
this.
What am I popping? Like all
Yep.
these different pills. I can only imagine. Like my mom didn't have an autoimmune disease or anything, but she had a brain aneurysm, and the amount of pills I would see in her cabinet, the amount of medications that they would give her. My mom, now she's on something that's on TV. Like you could turn on ESPN and you're gonna see Abilify or whatever it is for her stuff that she has. And it's just crazy that that's the only option legally that they can do for us.
100%. Like I just think about like my time, like, there was a point where I was getting prescribed a low dose opioid for like shoulder pain. And I'm like, this is just not the answer. I couldn't drive. I felt so debilitated. So, it took me years to like reset my system. Honestly, after transitioning off of like some prescription drugs onto cannabis, I realized like, if you understand the plant and you understand like the terpenes and the cannabinoids that make up the products that we're consuming, you realize that there's so many different ways that you can create effects that can really help with, the different conditions that we all experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that entirely, and I relate. I suffer from kidney stones. I drank energy drinks in college. I was encouraged to have more energy and more caffeine. It was marketed like crazy. Um, started smoking weed, not drinking water. I thought I was kind of fat at the time. I'm still kind of fat right now, so I'm always thinking about how can I be healthy. And I thought, oh, I can drink an energy drink and go work out. Oh, I can go play football in high school and drink an energy drink before the game to be jacked up. And then I would have hamstring cramps and kidney pain, and like that. It's crazy. I won't give you the TMI, but every girlfriend since those days, I would have hamstring cramps. I am the guy that has been dehydrated, having cramps since I was 15 years old, drinking energy drinks. And I got to Texas, and UTMB is just like, no, it's because of the weed. It's not because of the energy drinks. Why don't you like, oh, you smoke weed? Why don't you try cigarettes instead, damn near? It's like, oh my God. Like, they didn't say that. I'm not saying UTMB tried cigarettes, but it's just like, damn, bro, you guys want me to go to Walmart and get a bottle of pills? That's the only option I have for my stuff, for my thing.
And you
It's
know what
just,
the worst part is, Joey, is how big pharma is the biggest lobbyist against natural alternatives like cannabis.
yeah.
It's mind-boggling to me. Like, is it, you start to contemplate like what's real and what's not real. You know what I mean? But
Well, I started contemplating who to trust.
yeah,
Do I trust my family and their beliefs and whatever they were taught? No disrespect to my family, but if they were educated by the same people I was educated by, I know they left a lot of stuff out.
it's true. I mean, even down to the food pyramid, they've already proved that
Yeah.
the food pyramid, that's what I grew up like being raised on, is like knowing that you
Yeah.
this, that, for this meal. And then it's like you find out later down the road, you're like, oh, damn, like that's not necessarily true.
Damn. I didn't know that the food pyramid was sponsored by General Mills and Fruity Pebbles causes cancer or autism because of the food colors. Like, point is, we were set up to be unhealthy and often in a lot of ways set up to fail our bodies, to work a system financially. Just the systems that are in place are not necessarily conducive to personal success, financial success in the day that we're in. You made a choice to get into cannabis, sounds like, because you realize some of the magic that it can work. And when it's with the right person, when the right person is leading, setting by example, being a resource and helping other people, I think you said you really appreciated this community element at the Bulldog space, right?
Exactly.
Like just being, like, it feels good to be around like-minded people and to care about similar things. And if you're working, then to be working towards similar goals. So for you, I believe I remember you telling me you have some partners in the business, correct?
I do. I have a sweat equity partner who worked on Federal Hill. She was a lobbyist out there, so she came from like the medical market, understanding like policies and procedures, and now she kind of runs and I've got another amazing partner named Kyle, who I'm sorry, the other partner was Maddie, and my other partner Kyle was a local guy. I'd gone after a conditional license with the state at the beginning. He wasn't involved yet. I was looking for, partners, both operational, like I was really looking for somebody that was passionate about, wellness based things, to partner with, that also had the financial capacity to assist on the build out. And I met Kyle, and it's honestly been like, we've been a dream team. Like it's really been
Ariel,
wonderful.
I talk to a lot of dispensary owners. It's not a joke. I'm not gassing myself up. I don't know you particularly well. I think we got to hang out, have a really, really solid 20, maybe 30-minute accidental conversation on MJ Biz. I remember you telling me, and I don't take this the wrong way, an overwhelmingly amount of information for the showroom floor, right? It was like, and I say that because you know your shit. You're passionate, you're thinking about it, you're trying to find, solutions to these challenges that you have. A problem's one thing. These are challenges to you. These are just little challenges you got to work through. These aren't problems. You know what I'm saying? Problem isn't you got to get called in on a day you don't want to work because someone's sick. That's the problem, right?
This is true. This is
right. But we gotta go do that. We're the boss, right? But I say this because even right now, I hear you, and I go back to that comment that I made earlier about one of my favorite quotes. When I listen to you speak about your business and even your partner right there, man, can I feel how much you like this. I can just get a sense that this is your shit. And I gotta know, where did that come from, Ariel? Where did this entrepreneurial LeBron James piecing together of the puzzle, the playbook, where did you get this energy? Because there is something different about the way you speak about your business. And I've done over 150 of these this year. So you don't need to be modest. I'm recognizing something. Where did this come from?
I'd say it's two places, Joey. It's the people that have doubted that I could get to this point. I love to use the motivation of people that don't think I can accomplish to accomplish. Like that's number one, like a huge rooting thing for me. But honestly, it's the passion and the education, like is number one. Like before I got into this, I was running a company with my family. Like it was a very successful company. I dealt with a lot of like the internal like things, and it's just like, but it wasn't my jam, and if there was like one thing that I always like was very passionate about, it was, the wellness based things, especially because I saw it change my life. And I realized like how many people would come to me, like asking me for advice about, cannabis or like other,
were you outwardly sharing weed? I mean, I don't know.
100%, Joey. I never come empty handed.
I'll throw it out there, Ariel. I'm 34, so I came in. I'm at that day one Instagram, couple years into Twitter. I was late to TikTok, late to YouTube. All that said, I didn't get outwardly cannabis and become the person you're mentioning about yourself right now. I didn't become that until 2016 and 17. I think for then that's 26, 27 years old for me, 7, 8 years ago now. Were you this way? Were you the 16, 17? I mean, I know girls in high school that smoke weed at 13 in middle school shit. Like, what kind of person was your life? How did you become this leader?
Like, I was a drinker back in the day, like when college, like it wasn't until college, like where I really started to like find a relationship with cannabis. Like, my experiences with cannabis early on was like more peer pressure, like situations, like, and it was like we were hotboxing because it wasn't, it wasn't legal at the time. Like you couldn't,
so you go smoking.
It wasn't of age, even if it was, and we were just getting whatever we could smoke, and like without having like the idea of like what it is that you're consuming, like the lab tests, the like what terpenes are in that plant. Like it's like you really don't know what you're getting. And it's like if you're looking for an experience to like make you feel calm and relaxed, like you definitely don't want something with a terpene profile that's way more on the uplifting end, because
let's get you a really toxic lemon kush. Let's get you a lemony kush. Get you extremely high very fast, and the citrus just freaks you out, and then you're just sitting there stoned in your head contemplating if you locked the keys, if you locked your house, what else you have to do later. Some of these strains get you so high and get your brain awake. It's different for everybody, man. It's so tough. And without that knowledge, or without a person, right, like a leader to go to, a reference to go to, just some kind of foundational point to reference, we have to guess. And I hate, one of the things I hate the most, Ariel, is proving my parents right. I hate when I prove them right. 100%. I hate when shout out my mom, shout out my dad, shout out my dad and I not having a good relationship. Thus this comment hitting being a grand slam. I hate proving him right. And we don't have a good relationship. So then it stings worse, right? But I'll tell you this. Drugs, which cannabis is still a schedule whatever drug. It'll switch when it switches, and it was up here. It's a mind-altering substance when smoked, eaten, consumed. It's a thing, folks. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but to some it is. Drugs are said to be bad. A lot of drugs are bad. A lot of drugs are dangerous. A lot of pharmaceutical drugs are dangerous when not managed with professional guidance. The same can be said with cannabis when you are experimenting and you don't know what it is. And it's unfortunate that when you and I were experimenting, whenever that was, we didn't have fentanyl. We didn't have fentanyl around like that, Ariel.
It wasn't dangerous like that as like what it could be now, and
correct.
Also, Joey, there's something like that I will, as an autoimmune person, like something that I'm super very conscious about is, toxins. Generally speaking, like unfortunately, like when you're getting it off the street, you don't know where it was stored. You don't know how it was handled. You don't know what it actually is. You don't know if like the water content got to it and maybe now it's moldy. Like there's so many different like considerations. Like I don't want to be smoking mold.
You imagine living in a swampy area and getting weed out of someone's trunk?
Oh gosh, Joey, living in New Jersey, I think about like when I'm thinking about like where this cannabis might be coming from, if it's not from like one of, a licensed dispensary.
Right.
I'm thinking like it's coming from a
legacy, right, Ariel? Like legacy, we celebrate legacy, right? Legacy is literally somebody who first started growing in someone's apartment, their house, their closet, in their backyard, in a grow. And do we know what's in that stuff? No, we don't. Toxins.
No,
that's what
and it's amazing when you see the legacy go to legal, because then it's like, now it becomes like, all right, yeah, you know what you're doing, but it's proven now that like, it's tested properly and that, like what you say it is, It's like
terpene profiles, cannabinoid profiles, the COAs. I don't know a single buyer. I sold weed here in Cali for 3 years, then 2 years in 2 states with our brand. I talk to a lot of the people in the dispensaries. I don't know any buyer or any owner that checks every COA that goes through their store. It's not a thing. They don't check every COA that exists that goes through every product. 600 SKUs, 800, 1,800 back when money was all flowing. Washington used to have 1,800 products on menus back in the day. So many things. You don't check every COA. It's not possible. The brand does. It has to be clear. It has to be compliance. But when they send it to the buyer, they double check numbers. They line it up, and they try to get through as many products as they can because intake takes forever, and it sucks. It's difficult.
It does suck.
It's the Dewey Decimal System of products. And because the products, depending on the product, right, Ariel? I got glasses. My vision's not good. Oh, man, I'm sure you love small products with small barcodes.
100%, and, I do pull COAs like when, there's no 100% requirement on like the exit labeling from a vendor on their package. Like they're required to put certain information, but like, some vendors may not detail out like the exact like THC, like A versus the THC, or they may not, notate the cannabinoid profiles, like, and terpenes. Like, for me, like when I'm, when a customer comes to me and they're looking for like a solution to something, I can't, make medical recommendations, but what I can do is I can teach them about like what the label means for them, like how might this likely like impact them. So my job is just to empower the customer to understand what they're looking at, and then kind of like guide them towards like, hey, if you're looking for something that's going to be calming, like, like maybe let's lean towards, a flower strain that might have, a linalool terpene and like in it, it'll be a little bit more calming, And so I do look at COAs because it's my only true way to really know exactly like what, the customer might be getting and how to educate them about the product that they're getting. Few
and far between, Ariel. Few and far between. Let me tell you, but that's because you come from a different centering point. Going back to these things that are important to you. A lot of people, this is just a job, and that's okay. And they care about weed, and they do care about helping people, right? A lot of people care about helping people, but do they go take a $20,000 college loan out to continue being the best at helping somebody? Usually not in cannabis. Not at 20. Not at 10. Not at 5. They're happy with the job. and they're happy with whatever training they get, right? Let's talk a little bit about the culture that extends beyond you, Ariel. I've got some questions about Bud to Bloom, and
Okay.
just what you're about is supposed to be is supposed to come through in your retail environment to some extent. That's if you're trying to serve only you, though, right? We're talking about a brand in a community in a local area that's got people already having it. So, what does Bud to Bloom look, sound, feel, and what is engaging with you like there at the store? First part, just what is it like? And two, what is the town that you're in like? Because most people in America don't know anything about New Jersey. Only thing being talked about in terms of New Jersey is making fun of the airport. Let's show some light and bring some positive energy to your guys' town, Netcong.
Absolutely. So Netcong is a 1 square mile town. But honestly, it packs a punch. It really does. Like
Let them know. Let them know.
they really do. They got this amazing little cute downtown, great lakes. We're right next to a state park.
Okay.
It's a very like we got lots of like farms and like greenery around here. It's really like tranquil and beautiful. In the summertime, it's definitely like a must stop at. But one of the things I love about Netcong is their saying to the town is all roads lead to Netcong. And it's true. We literally are right where 206, 80, and Route 46 merge. So, it's like at the end of the day, we're getting like my customer base isn't just like the local Netcong community.
Yeah, it's probably not even just Jersey either, is my understanding.
California, Texas, like Utah.
Yeah.
It is so cool, and it's been awesome because like that interstate stop, where with what we're trying to do, it's amazing because it really helps us spread the mission and vision of Bud to Bloom, which, what we try to do is reduce the stigma about cannabis through merging it with something familiar, flowers. So that's kind of what the Bud to Bloom stands for, along with everything from, inception, like our date of 2222, everything was done like, with intentionality. The number in angel number.
How did you time 2222? Everybody struggles with just getting open. How did you get a timed date and have it be perfect? We can't skip over that. How do we do that?
To be honest, I was a sole entrepreneur at the time, sole proprietor. So I was able to kind of like, wait to officially form the business. So I kind of waited until 2222 to officially like snap it in. But
we're gonna have all of these details. We're gonna have all of these details line up like dominoes, and then I'm gonna just start knocking them over one by one when they're ready. All the way, this whole journey.
Strategy, Joey. That was a strategy for us.
Are you from Netcong? How did we end up in Netcong?
We're from the town over next door. My town didn't want to really like. I tried to do a grassroots movement in my local town. They just really didn't want to hear it. They weren't ready. They were still very much like for the stigma of cannabis. They, what they had pictured like in their heads about cannabis people, they just didn't want to hear it.
You're in the town over.
And the next town over, you know what? They wanted to hear it. And they were like open ears.
They Johnny Manziel. They said, show me the money. Show me the money. We want it. We want to be able to fix our roads and pay our teachers better. Come on.
And such a small town for them, like it's been huge what we've been able to do. And, we love like Netcong so much that we get involved on a regular basis. We do food drives for them.
Mm-hmm.
I volunteer weekly at the food pantry. Like for us, like Netcong first is really like our mission. Like, we believe that like our community needs to like grow with us, and as we're blooming, they're blooming. And it's just been a really, really like synergistic like relationship with them.
I'm doing the post right now, man. All roads lead to Netcong. Come on, man. Let's go. We doing it. Facebook, they about to know. And with a C too. Netcong with a C. Let's go.
But you come into Bud to Bloom, Joey, and honestly, it's a breath of fresh air. It really is. Like you walk in and like it doesn't feel like you're in a dispensary. We made it feel like you're walking into like someone's house, like you're coming like from the back in the day experience where, you would meet up with your guy, you'd probably be at someone's house. Like we wanted to
I have to ask why? Because I just had somebody on the show and they had a dispensary in Mass up in the Berkshires area that kind of is like that. But when you look at, and I asked a similar question to him, why that style and not these other ones with the build outs and all that? Was it financial? Was it just this? Was it what was your
No,
thinking
I
for
think it was just about it feeling like familiar and comfortable for people, like because like our entire concept, once you walk through like our reception area, we've got a quote that says weed is not a drug, it's it's a plant, therefore we're not dealers, we're florists. Like we truly believe like in the science
Yeah.
and the educational powers. Like I think that for me, coming into like Bud Bloom, I wanted it to kind of feel like a little bit like this, spa-like place. Like you feel like, enlightened and light when you walk in, we
Yeah, I'm
started
not going to do a spa that's chilling at a plaza next to like a barber shop and a smoke shop and a Subway. You know what I'm saying? So I feel that.
we didn't like our business model is more consultation based. It's like come sit down and learn. Like, once people know and they have the like the fundamental like education, then they can come in and grab it and be out quickly. We have all different kinds of like we got pickup, for like people that know what they want and just want to come and get it. But we
I forget, do you guys do delivery out there too?
Not yet. We can, but we haven't initiated it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we got 46 different terpene jars. We teach people through flowers, through things that they already know about. Like, how can we reduce the stigma and reduce the barrier of entry? Explain it to people in a way that they already understand. Like, we know the science of what lavender oil does.
Way to go about it. Yeah, that 46 are some of those terp jars like traditional flower scents?
They all are, every single one of them. We've got white sage, we've got like lavender, oranges, lemons, you name it. And we teach them like this is what this is gonna feel like. I get customers in, I test them, I'm like, hey, like, all right, you don't like this product, tell me, I need to know what was in it, right? Like to figure out what it was that might have been triggering you that you didn't like. But then I do smell tests. I'm like, hey, do you like the smell of this? How does this make you like feel? Because like those terpenes.
Because if they say anything's pleasant, that's that'd be a green flag, right? Most likely.
100%. And I'll compare. I'll be like, do you like this smell better or this smell better? Because what I'm catching on to is that there's different uplifting like terpenes. And, I've been pretty spot on with matching people with the right ones for themselves after I can understand what they didn't like.
So cool, Ariel. You're literally, I'm leveling up right now thinking about this is a different way of communicating with patients, customers, or just people. It doesn't have to be in a transactional environment. This is a different way of communicating and relating to these individuals, getting the information closer and closer. We don't have to get it perfect. They just like when you go to the doctor, right? You go to the eye doctor, they cover eye up. Which one do you like more? Or this one?
100%.
Right?
100%.
That dials it in. Oh my gosh. This is so
cool. It's like it was inside me because I was always like growing up, like my grandma and my mom, like they were huge like gardeners, and like I really believe in like the holistic. I believe in like holistic wellness, like mind, body, and spirit, and gardening was just like one of those things. But I was so familiar with roses and all these different flowers because I was always around it growing up. And when I started to do my own education to cannabis, I was like, holy crap. Like it's interesting how like you're pretty much like understanding like the terpene profiles of the plants to figure out like what the, general like entourage, the effect based side is going to be for cannabis. And then the other side's the cannabinoids, which is like, okay, like, well, if this is reported to do this, that mixed with this, like might likely feel like, like I said, I can't make medical suggestions. I can't say that this product is going to do this for you.
But if you ask me some questions and I tell you I like this and this and then this and then this, but not this and then not this, but then this and this.
And then guess what, Joey? Guess what I go do? I go check the COAs, dude. Like I go check and see what that COA says. So perfect. While I don't need to look at every single COA. As long as it has a COA, I know it came from like a licensed company that wouldn't have been able to like essentially put it live until it passed the proper test through the state. But I use the COAs like to help figure out like, okay, this is like, is this going to be like a product like that you had before that you liked, or is this going to be, it's just so important. I always tell people, take pictures of the label of the stuff that you like. And I'm not talking just like the label, like the front. I know what the label looks like. I'm talking about the white or whatever color it is sticker that goes onto the product that gives you at least a small breakdown of what the terpene and the cannabinoid profiles are. Because like with that,
does New Jersey require a QR code of any sorts to a COA?
So it looks like they're moving in that direction, but not 100% yet. Some companies will decide to do it. It's not a requirement. What is a requirement is that you are able to get a COA upon request. So every dispensary is required to provide you. Like if you want to see the COA, we're required to provide it to you.
That was always understanding. Like, make sure they have invoice, metric stuff, COA, all together in the same email, and then you approve the order, and then it comes your way, right?
Well, it's great because in metric now, like the COAs are all attached to everything, so.
I'll shout out the improvements, even though we don't like metric. Shout out the improvements. Even they can improve. New Jersey has great flower, has great products. It's not, thankfully, you don't grow it, unless maybe I don't know that about you yet, or maybe you do. I haven't identified that it's the best. I haven't heard anybody come out and say that it's the best, but I will come out and say that I've been to a ton of states. I go around, I buy the best, and New Jersey has some of the best product when you think about the top 200, top 500 SKUs in the markets. There are some really great brands there. There's some really great products that exist. I want to talk about local brands first. I think we got to show love to New Jersey first, and then we'll touch base on some of the multi-state brands. I don't really care about the MSOs. I care about the cool multi-state brands that exist. I know that Rhythm does well in New Jersey. I know that some of these other products do well. I said it. I don't care about that. So we want to learn specifically first about some New Jerseys. So in your opinion, who are some of your favorite brands to work with, but only when you think about it in terms of who shows you guys the love? You know what I'm saying? Not just because you fuck with the product, like who shows you love.
Every single one of my vendors show us the love. Like we opted to be a little different. Like we work with much more of the smaller independent craft grows. Like to me, like, we're more of a boutique. We're more of a mom and pop. Like we wanted to showcase like what New Jersey has to offer from the smaller boutique stores.
Who are three of those groups then? That's more so when we get down to it.
I'll tell you some of my personal favorites with some fire small guys is I love Blue Harvest. I think that they're doing it right. They've got some really great strain options. Their terps are great. Typically for the most part, they're very consistent. We've got Indigo East. They've got their terps aren't that like crazy, and their THC isn't crazy, but the flavors of their flower, and the effects of it, it's the stuff that you could smoke all damn day. Honestly, it's just,
that's because of the genetics, or because they're not growing in that method to get to high THC or higher terps?
I think it's a little bit of both, when you work with the smaller grows, it takes a little time for them to find the optimal, what nutrients that plant needs, what growing style that plant needs. I've seen, the newer startups over the past year, what I've seen is they're just every time it's getting better. Trying to understand what plant grows in what. I've got one vendor.
First 3 years they're open should be getting better every harvest. And then realistically, every time they add in a new strain, my understanding, and I don't grow at a high level, I just been in over 75 facilities and interviewed over 300 motherfuckers. That shit takes 3 years to get it right. And then and then it's in a new room and in a new building in a new environment. And then it's also
everything, Joey. It's the growers understanding what what their plants need, and then figuring out how to optimize that environment. It's crazy because I got one vendor, they grow greenhouse, so it's a hybrid grow, partially outside. They're utilizing their environment. Shout out Bango. I think that they're doing pretty good too. They're one of those multi-states, but
you said Mango Cannabis?
Bango,
Oh,
Bango.
Bango. Yeah.
They're doing it greenhouse style, and like they've got the elements of their outdoor environment. Like they're not, they're utilizing like the sun cycles. They're utilizing, like the weather temperatures, like, and they're picking the optimal strains that grow at the best time of the year. Like, it's
Yeah.
unfortunate because I love Blue Dream, and Blue Dream's only really available in the winter because they realize that, it grows better like with the outdoor conditions that they're working with. It grows better in the winter time. And so it's trying to find like the strains that work right for, I think it's either you got to figure out how to get your environment right for the strains that you've selected, or you need to figure out how to get the right strains for the environment that you're creating. So
Yeah, it's kind of one or the other, or you got to fire the quarterback, aka the grower.
yeah.
Just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, that's the wrong person to blame is the grower, and unless something drastic fucks up. I would say often, from my understanding too, in a lot of the places I've been, behind the scenes, you'll hear the grower saying, "Oh yeah, this is kind of what the boss just wants to do." You know what I mean? And that's a common challenge in their world behind the scenes is whoever's footing the bill. That feedback often determines
And
what's getting planted
that's
sometimes.
why I love to work with the little guys sometimes because,
Yeah.
like, honestly, they got into it for the same reason that I got into it. They're in it for
Mhm.
the quality, they're in it for the love. Like, that's one of the vetting things. Like, what separates me, I don't just take on vendors, like, for the most part, almost every single one I've been to the tour, like the grow, like, I know somebody that and I haven't been able to be there, I know somebody like that has been, and I'm able to kind of understand like what their process. And I promise you, I'm gonna get there. So I
I
want
love
to.
that. I love that. I feel you. When I was a bud tender, we had a buyer and he came from the medical, so he was trusted and he did a great job. But he also didn't have the budget to make money. We weren't able to buy the right things. The owner would do his thing, and we'll just say undermine all of the actual business effort, right? And that's a common thing in the dispensary world. Poor management, poor fiscal management, poor money management.
What I've heard is over purchasing. Like we have a
Yeah,
small vault, and some may see that as like a downfall because maybe we can't, ridiculously overbuy. But I see it as a benefit. All my product is super fresh. I'm constantly cycling through. I barely get to expiration dates, because I'm buying enough to make it through that season. Or
I
that
mean,
that
realistically, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with you too. New Jersey ain't huge. Those brands should be able to logistically deliver same day, 48 hours.
yeah.
This isn't Reading or San Diego, and then LA, and then Fresno 4 hours. Like this is not. New Jersey's not the same as that. You know what
I
I
mean, it
mean?
could be deep enough, on a day, it could be like 4 or 5 hours, like to go across state, but
But
at
still,
the
that's the
same
same day, man.
time,
They got to be waking up early. This is business, right? Like again, if you're out and that's your product, and you count on me, like you got to be able to get it there. I think it's a balance
agree,
though of
Joey,
order
100%.
size.
And my vendors, they're good. If we run into
Yeah,
an emergency, like they show up, like I only want to
yeah,
work with partners that, are coming out with like good stuff, have good processes like in place, like I truly care about the people that care about quality over quantity. The guys that will charge a couple extra dollars because they're really spending the time to make sure that that plant comes to fruition and that the profiles of the plant are, like shown in their best light, and
yeah.
that requires the right amount of time for growth. That requires the right nutrients. Like that requires a little TLC, you
I
know?
buy all kinds of brands and products, Ariel. I spend money at dispensaries, and I don't just buy for me. I'm similar to like what you used to say you were. You know what I'm saying? I buy for the family, the homies. Text me and
No, I'm
ask for
taking care of my
recommendations.
community. That's what they're
Right,
going to be
right.
consuming. Like my first and foremost, like, it's all about the community and making sure that they're getting the best quality, the best that they can get, and also we try to cater to all the different pricing tiers. We want to have an option for everybody, and we try to, we differentiate ourselves. We've got a lot of topical products and transdermal patches. And some
Yeah.
dispensaries may see that as like, it
I
doesn't
don't
sell
even carry
enough.
any of it. They won't carry any of it.
We carry it, because like for us, like it's the medicinal benefit. Like if that means at the end that I gotta promo it a little heavier, then that's what I'm gonna do. But like I'm creating that opportunity for my community to get the right product that's for them, because
Listen,
flower
man,
isn't for
it
everybody.
is your responsibility, Ariel, as a business owner, It was you chose to do that business. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to fulfill the goal of not just making money, but as you said, the quality over quantity. For you, quality is impact. It's actually helping people, right? You got to figure out how to exist no matter what the challenge is,
It's
right?
what
That's our
keeps us
goal.
running, you know?
We just got to keep figuring a way out. It's your responsibility to take care of the money and figure that out. Like you said, if you got to promo it to move it, to be able to honor your word and your brand of wellness, quality over quantity. That's a thing. It's frustrating to go to a store, look for a topical that it's there 1 minute and then it's not available for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I can't count on you for that. I will go to Walmart and go buy something else 3 times by the time I come back. 4 times. And it won't have weed in it. And it's that retailer's fault for not staying about their business that way. Now it's tough because we can't.
It does get tough though, Joey, because sometimes it's also like
cash
it may
flow
not
is
be
real.
available,
Cash flow is real.
you know?
I know.
And it's the vendors having it available. Like, you know, the testing, like going through in time, like sometimes you just get halted, and like it's unfortunate, you know, like there's a lot of those like back ends issues that like come to light, and you're like, damn it, you know, and like something might be postponed, but for the most part, most customers tend to like plan ahead. They don't like when they find something that really works for them, especially topically, you know, they're usually buying it before it runs out. So it gives us ample time. And
anything like that, I'm going to call typically anyways. Like I even gotten to the point when, because I actually do buy my supplements, one of my core supplements for my life. I'm looking at it over here. And it's like, I got tired of going to Walmarts around LA and dealing with the 20 to 40 minutes, 80 minutes round trip potentially in LA, and it wouldn't be at some of them. So I was able to call and find one of them, and I got the answer. And it's like, oh, we got 5 left. We're not carrying it anymore. That's why, right? It's like, fine, that's fine. I just I'll buy all 5. You know what I'm saying? That's great. But it's that kind of mind. That's a real human problem. That's a real human psychological process that we're going to go through. Is I'm going to call and check first now, because I can't trust that it's there. The brands like you, the retailers like you that try to be proactive about that, I think that's huge. There's too many of them out there that don't care enough about wellness because of the numbers behind the wellness category. But if you don't build it, no one's going to come, folks. And if you don't promote it, no one's going to know about it. So you got to have the first thing.
We talk about it all the time. You know how many people have gone on to transdermal patches? It's wild. Like, because no one educates people about it, but it's the most controllable form of cannabis. Like, why would you not be recommending that to newer users? Like, you want to know what cannabis feels like, but you're scared about, like, that's a valid concern. I'm scared sometimes.
But you're a healthy person and you don't want to smoke. You have kids and you don't want to smoke, right? Whatever the thing is that can make you not want to actually smoke.
Listen, you wear the patch, you feel the effects. You take the patch off 15 minutes later, Joey, effects dissipate. You got a job that you got to go do, or, you know, no, exactly. Your kids might be at like school that day and they get called home. Like, you're like, damn, I just smoke. Like, I can't get in a car and drive. Like, well, great. Take the patch off 15 minutes later. You're good. You should be good to go, you know, for the most part, you know. I mean, there's just, it's a great way to experiment to figure out your proper dose without like really marrying yourself to, you know, a 6 to 8 hour duration of a high if you're eating gummies.
Well, and I think legally it's something like you're not supposed to, if I smoke in the morning, I think technically I would fail the DUI at any point in the actual same day. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, what do I do? What do I do now the rest of the day? You know what I mean? Well, that's your choice. Well, kidney stones 20 times. My friend, you know, this is kind of the only way.
That's a tough one, honestly, Joey. I'm still like, you know, I've been trying to like follow like what the different states do and, you know, like what they're like tolerance, you know, it's just hard. Like I never recommend ever consuming and getting behind the the door of a car. You know what I mean? Like, it's just tough though, you know, because like we'll see.
I don't support that either. It definitely affects motor function ability for sure. Some strains do, some strains don't. I think the science would say they all do, no matter what we say we're feeling, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And in those situations, when we're talking insurance and the systems that are that are built for our society, we don't build it based on emotional feelings and bias. When they do it based on science and numbers.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
So Sarah, circling back, the second part to the previous question, we talked about the local brands first. Second one's multi-state brands. You mentioned you have a variety of customers that travel from all over the place. All roads lead to Netcong, right? So do you carry brands that are in a couple of different states?
We
And if so,
definitely
what
do.
are some of those
Yeah.
recognizable names?
So some of the recognizable names might be Camino. So I really love the Camino gummies. Shout out to them. Like they're doing
Shout
it
out to
right.
Sour
They're
Beach!
personally like their pineapple habanero might be like one of my favorite like products out there. I even
Yeah,
microdose those ones just to take the edge off instead of taking like you know,
yeah.
any kind of medications or something for it. Just takes the edge off. Um those are one of my favorites. I mean, we got Clade 9, they're from California, Bango 2. They're
Clade
just
9, my guy Dave getting the shout out. Dog. You don't know this area, but we used to put Clade 9 in our bags here in California.
yeah, I like Clade 9. They're doing it right too. They're J1. Oh man, that's such
Ooh,
a
baby. The shout out to Private Reserve, baby. You know what I'm saying? That OG Kush. That was my shit. Our best selling product was the Private Reserve in our bags. Not lying.
yeah.
Dave selling us weed and
You just got their disposable, which is kind of very exciting.
ooh, and they got good pre-rolls there too. I mean, again, shout out to them. I've been in the facility for if you guys are checking out, just because Dave is amazing and helped build our brand and just support us. He sold us weed and he didn't have to. He could have sold it to other people. This guy was a man of his word, and I fuck with him heavy and show him mad love. Um, their facility used to build tanks in World War II. It used to build Mack trucks at a different decade, and it's like huge. Like we're talking like 160,000 square feet of space out there, some shit like that. Like I forget the numbers, but I did a cribs video on our YouTube channel, folks. Go check it out. The weed is fire. Dave is dope. It was incredible. It was sick. In addition to Clay 9, who else do you have, Ariel?
So Joey, we got a lot of like brand partnership type situations. So like they may not be like the license holder themselves, but they're working with a license holder in the state to bring their
Yep.
brands to the state, and still dealing with the creation of those, like shout out to for us, like big fan of Chiba Chews. Like they've got their joint relief.
Oh,
That's
geez. Those are
they're like
OG
their
Colorado.
THC ones, great. We got Rejuve, which is our like our transdermal patches. We've got Escape Artist. I love their water soluble products.
I've heard about Escape Artists. Good things about them. Yeah.
Drool. I'm a big fan of Drool. They've got great syringes. They've got great disposable live resin products. And honestly, but one of my favorites by them is the recovery stick. Their topical is really, really great. It's helped my mom loves it. She uses it. I'm going to bring it back to topical for one quick second because I love topicals. It's the entry product for people. It's the one product I've noticed like can make a true believer out of somebody that was not a cannabis user and now is interested in exploring a gummy. While it's one of those products that, again, not a lot of stores like love to carry, it's one of those things that gets somebody in the door to like learn about cannabis without getting that psychoactive component. It's not really going into the bloodstream, in small dosages, not using it too much. And it's like a great way of people being able to see like, wow, cannabis does have some healing properties to it, and you don't have to use it in a get high type of way. Like you can use it from a functional, wellness based like way. And I would say that's number one for me, like seeing like my mom, she doesn't consume cannabis, but she uses topicals and it's really helped her and the quality of her life. So, shout out to topicals for a second.
No, I'm right there with you. The topical that I'm referring to over here is my old employer Buddy's brand a couple years ago. Award-winning woman created it back in the medical cannabis days. I want to say 2012, 2013, something like that. And it was a product that I was proud to not just sell, but also have both my grandmothers use. One up until her death, the other still actively using it. And then my mom as well for years. We're talking 5-6 years now of regular holidays and me making sure she gets one or it's coming her way. I think it's there's topicals and lotions at Target, and Walmart and every grocery store right now, folks. So it's not so crazy for you to go buy some pain inflammation cream or lotion or whatever. The difference is those things are designed to numb the pain. These cannabis products were designed in theory to actually help you heal. We're going to make sure that I said that in theory and the quotes, because these cannabinoids help your body to communicate better, and your body has everything it needs to heal itself, folks. Don't let it fool you.
Joey, you're so right. It's those receptors, like we have science now. We know that like our bodies have something called an endocannabinoid system, all mammals, which
Mhm.
is why cannabis works. We got these like different receptors in our bodies that like might be a little off. I like to think about it as like, a phone battery, like sometimes like it's not all the way charged. And sometimes you need to plug it in to get that like optimal level for that receptor to just shut off, and that it comes down to like replenishing the receptor with the right cannabinoid or the like the right effects for yourself, but also not over charging it either,
Yeah.
so that's
Over-consuming, folks, does lead to major issues. I think that's something, Ariel, I'd love to have you on another episode. There's clearly different scenarios, and um, just having a conversation about wellness and how integrating cannabis into that for our personal situations would be huge anecdotal evidence for people, I think.
Joey, I would
Um,
love to do that. I would absolutely
yeah.
love to, talk
Because
about the science of it. There's
you
so much
talk about some
research,
interesting points. We could go down the rabbit hole, Ariel, of overconsumption. We could go down the rabbit hole of driving. We could go down the rabbit hole of the way cannabis, how it does this, and customer feedback that we've heard. We could bring up all kinds of articles and stories. We could do it. We could really put on a thing, and I'm for all that. But the reality is that no matter what we do there, cannabis is different for everybody, and
it is.
that's the core foundation. Doesn't matter what we say. It matters what you do and how much of it you do. And
Joey,
we
there's not
never
a one size fits all, but I
correct.
truly do think there's almost a size for everybody. Like, there's
Well, with
definitely,
topicals, there is. That's the point of
yeah,
topicals. Let's go full circle.
exactly.
That's the point.
Yep.
You don't get high, folks. It doesn't go in your bloodstream. It'll get that area buzzing potentially, or your skin's just going to be properly hydrated for a while, and it might be hot or cold. You know what I mean? And that's the reality. You're going in to the dispensaries. I'm sorry, you're going into a Target or Walmart to go buy these lotions and things. Anyways, there's a cannabis version of it that has THC, probably CBD in it, maybe something else. Now they have other ingredients from your wellness and the skincare world. I've noticed
But
other
Joey,
things.
like lidocaine, that might be like masking like the symptoms, right? But if our
Yeah,
bodies
that's just
already
telling
have
it.
endocannabinoids, we already build these. Like our
Yeah,
bodies are already naturally producing these, but they're just not
yeah.
producing enough. And so, sometimes you just have to take it like it's a vitamin C, substitution. You might have to drink some orange juice or, go out
Imagine
into the
taking,
sun.
imagine using cannabis not to get high, but to just improve the quality of your life. Some examples: the topicals, capsules with very little or no THC in it, but other cannabinoids. Right? Perfect.
Yep.
Another great example. Why would I only want fish oil if I can have fish oil plus something else? Right? Just as an example.
And
So
sometimes it
I
just
got
helps.
gummies here that have like 5, 10 things in it.
Yeah.
Great conversation today, folks. I'm inspired. This woman here, Ariel, she's been doing her thing. Shout out her partner. Shout out the vision. Shout out the decision to get into cannabis to do this. You guys have heard it, man. This has been one of the most wellness-focused episodes we've ever had. It's very clear that when you put your time and energy and you sacrifice into it, and it's for helping other people, and then you listen to this episode, you can tell that this woman likes to help people, man. So big shout out to you, Ariel, deciding to do this and being inspired in your own way to continue doing this journey, because it's not easy. The last question I have for you, or the last two questions I got for you, is first, what do you have coming up with your dispensary? Anything going on in 2026 in these next 1 or 2 months? First part. And second part, I'll get to that afterwards because it's my last question.
So, I mean, we just hit our 1 year, Joey. So, optimizing procedures, we're bringing on a second like phase of the business, but it's not really connected to Bud Bloom. It's an off spin of it. We're going to have a wellness lounge where we are able to like educate people and hold these like wellness seminars, along with like, wellness based events and just community based events. So we got a lot of stuff coming up on the radar for end of first quarter next year.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited. And honestly, just keep spreading the word about like how cannabis can, benefit you from a holistic perspective, like how to use it in a balanced way. Like we're still on that mission.
Well, you just I'll give you the opportunity to have a different message for this final question, but that was also a very good message to end with. We where to end it on that. I was inspired over the last couple months watching this guy give out money on TikTok and Instagram and stuff. I see it all the time, Facebook, and he just helps people all over the world, right? He just goes up to people and asks them for help, and if whoever helps him first, he gives them like 10 grand or something, and it changes their life or whatever. And then it keeps growing because celebrities donate and more things happen, right? Watch it all the time. The shit almost makes me cry, or it does. And so one of the things that he always asks these people is, "What's your message to the world?" And so it's something that I really enjoy asking now is, "What's your actual message to the world with all this and what you're trying to do?" And that'll be the last one here on today's episode.
Oh gosh, that's a full circle one. Man, okay. I don't know. I'm just a big believer in holistic wellness and getting the word out there about physical, about spiritual, uh physical and mental wellness, and if one thing is off, Joey, they're all off. You need to be able to listen to what's happening with inside, and be able to kind of like gravitate, travel the journey, of making sure that you're thinking right, that you're nourishing your body properly, that you're putting yourself into a position. Cause I truly think that's like the survival of the fittest is definitely holistic wellness. It's how you bring all three, your mind, your body, and your spirit together. And, living off of like the natural earth, I think is number one. So I don't know. I think I may have answered that.
No, that was amazing. Thank you. I appreciate you. Last question. What's last little piece of information? What's the website? Where can people follow, subscribe, get involved with you guys?
Absolutely. So our website is budtobloomdispensary.com. You can find us on Instagram at budtobloomnj. And just a side note, I do offer free wellness consultations. So, if you're ever interested in having something that's a little bit more, where you get to like kind of navigate what you want to learn, like I personalize the consultation because again, my mission is to be able to get people to understand cannabis. It's not always for the money. It's for, you could be anywhere in the world, and I would love to meet with you if you had cannabis questions, you needed to understand something, or you were looking for, a way that you could use cannabis mindfully. So
let's go. Very thoughtful and helpful, and a great message, Ariel. I appreciate you, and thank you as well for joining us on today's show, folks. A special edition of the New Jersey Cannabis Podcast, featuring Bud to Bloom, Netcong on the map. Let's go. Come on, man. Ariel in the building.
All roads lead to Netcong, Joey. All roads.
A big shout out to our sponsor in today's episode, Deep Roots, our partner for all things SEO. They love to grow retailers' revenue. Put them to work. Watch your money grow. It's as simple as that. Be sure to tap in. I appreciate you guys. Ariel, thank you again, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, Joey.